You are beginning to feel your ability to focus your desire purely. You're starting to recognize when you hold a desire that you are not in alignment with. And you are starting to recognize the feeling of coming into alignment with your own desire. So your desires are refreshing now, yes? A desire that you are in alignment with is intoxicating, life-giving. You want to think about it and talk about it. It soothes you, it feeds you, it energizes you. But a desire that you don't believe, now that's something else altogether, isn't it? It's alive within you, beating you up. A desire that you don't believe doesn't feel so good. You are vibrational beings, you know, far more vibrational than anything else. You are so good at interpreting your vibration, you don't sometimes even realize that you are vibration. But you are more electrical beings than you are the flesh, blood, and bone beings that you pinch and see. The universe is vibrational. Everything is vibrational. All communication is vibrational. These words are scanty communication in comparison with the vibrational communication that is taking place at all times. The universe responds to you. Your source is aware of you. And as you be in this moment, and as you offer vibration in this moment, your offering aligns with your source fully or not so much. And the way you feel is all about that. So the premise, in order to understand deliberate creation or how to artfully allow, the premise that you must at least attempt to align with is that there is only a stream of well-being. It is the only source that flows. It is a stream of perpetual, expanding well-being. It is the stream of your source. It is the stream of your now. It is the stream of your future. It is clarity. It is abundance of all things you consider to be good. It is well-being. It is the stream of pure positive energy. And it flows at all times. Now, depending upon what you are giving your attention to, you may be allowing it or not allowing it. The more you allow it, the better you feel. The less you allow it, the worse you feel. So it is important for you to begin with that premise, because if you are not understanding that there is a source that flows, and if you are not coming into conscious awareness of your guidance that lets you know about your relationship with this stream, then you'll be all over the place. You won't know which way you're going. It is important to understand where you are in relationship to where you are going in order to feel your guidance that lets you know if you're headed in the right direction. Last night, Jerry and Esther pushed the buttons on their Magellan, a navigational system that often gives them guidance. Now, Magellan is very interesting. Magellan is a contraption that has been installed in their vehicle. There are satellites in the sky, an antenna on the roof of their vehicles, and the satellites triangulate in order to determine where they are. And then they put their destination location into Magellan, and Magellan calculates the route between where they are and where they want to be. Magellan never says, "Where have you been?" Magellan never says, "How long have you been there? What's taking you so long?" Magellan simply wants to know where you are in relationship to where you want to be, and will give you directions provided it is programmed into its computer. So last evening, Jerry and Esther were coming from Tampa on Interstate 4, and Magellan did not know about Lake Boulevard. Too small a street, too new a street. Magellan said, "I have no information for you. You are on your own." So Jerry called the hotel, and a very nice young man said, "Coming from Tampa, take exit number 68 and turn right." And Jerry began to realize that 26,000 miles was a long way around this earth. Sometimes you are headed in the opposite direction and don't even know it. And you cannot easily get to where you want to be when you are pointed in the opposite direction. You have within you a guidance system that will always let you know when you are facing in the direction of that which you're wanting. And that guidance system is your emotional guidance system. But before your emotional guidance system can let you know if you are faced in the right direction, you have to be aware of where you are, and you have to be aware of where you want to be in order to feel the emotional sensation of relief each time you move in the direction of that which you are wanting. And when your thoughts, no matter how long you've been thinking them, whether you learned them from your mother or whether you just picked them up from a friend that you've been hanging around with lately, when you begin to focus upon thoughts that are vibrationally opposed to the knowing that you hold from before your birth into this physical body, you can feel it through your emotional senses. You can always feel your alignment. So we want you to think in terms of your full alignment with who you are or your not so full alignment. It's sort of like the gas gauge on your automobile. You have this indicator of the full tank and the indicator of the empty tank. But when your tank says empty, you don't get so angry that the indicator tells you something that you don't want to see that you take a hammer and beat it right off the dash. Nor do you take a happy face and stick it over it, pretending that it is other than it is. You let the gas gauge be the indicator that it is, and you benefit from the knowledge that the indicator has given you. So in like manner, you have this emotional guidance system that shows when your tank is full, when you are in full alignment with who you are, and when you are in diminished or more resisted experience. In other words, there is allowing of your connection or disallowing. There is allowing or there is resistance. There is positive emotion or negative emotion. There is feeling of empowerment or feeling of disempowerment. In other words, this is the range. Law of attraction does not give you access to the full gamut of thoughts any more than you can set your radio dial on 101 FM and pick up what's being broadcast from 98.6. Your frequencies have to match up. And so if you are in despair because of something that you've been focused upon, you don't have access to those bright, shiny, fluffy, sunshine, lollipops, rainbows, Abraham student thoughts. And no matter how positive and no matter how happy your friend is who is wanting to bring you from your despair into the ecstasy that he or she is feeling, you can't make that jump. Law of attraction says that it is not possible. But law of attraction also says that you do have access to a range of vibrations. And if you will make an effort to find the best feeling thought that you have access to, and then most importantly, stop and stabilize and acknowledge, that's what matters most. Acknowledge that you are feeling incrementally better. In that moment, you regain your power. So think about it. If no matter where you are, even if you are in the depths of despair, you reach for a thought that feels slightly better and you acknowledge that you do. I can get a breath of air with this thought at least. Do you realize that that means that there is no place that you cannot go? Once you have consciously made the step into a better feeling place, you have regained your power. That feeling of empowerment is that free feeling. It is that feeling of being in alignment with your own source who believes in you, who trusts you, who knows you, who loves you, who adores you, who knows that all is well with you. And any element of condemnation, whether it is pointed at self or someone else, criticism, any feeling of lack, any feeling of unworthiness, any feeling of I can't do it or I shouldn't do it or I'm not allowed to do it or it's wrong for me to do it, those thoughts are your own disempowered thoughts because you are diverging so far from the free source that is really you. You will never focus upon your inappropriateness and have your inner being join you in the thought. It's just that simple. Your inner being will not beat that drum. Your inner being will not agree with you that you are inappropriate. So when you decide that you are out of agreement with your inner being, and your negative emotion shows you that you are out of agreement. Isn't that nice to know? We want you to feel what your emotions mean because they are everything. Your emotions are the only way that you know you've turned right when you meant to turn left. If you count on the front desk clerk, Esther said, it feels to me like we are going in the wrong direction. And Jerry said, it feels that way to me too, but let's just go a little further. Because the young man was so specific about which way to turn. But clearly he does not know which side of Orlando Tampa is on. Whenever you are including someone else in your mix, you always have the experience of whatever they are about mixing in with it. So when you ask guidance from someone who is outside of you, whether it is government or religion or parent or even friend, there is often confusion about the only two factors that matter, where you are and where you want to be. So, now let's think in terms of this guidance system. Let's call it an emotional guidance scale. And at the extreme connected end is the feeling of empowerment, freedom. And at the other end is the feeling of disempowerment, despair, grief. Most of you weigh in on this vibrational emotional scale somewhere around overwhelmment or frustration. In other words, most of you, most of the time, are not down here in the depths of despair, although there are things that can take you temporarily there. But most of you, we like to call it your set point. In other words, the place that you usually are, the place that you go easily, the place that you go without even working too hard to get there. That's the place where most of you are. This is an infinite stream, this emotional guidance stream. And do you know that no matter where you are on this stream, that there is still a place for relief? Even in the upper registries of pure positive energy that you would call ecstasy, there is still yet a further thought that you could reach for that would even give you a sensation of relief from that feeling of ecstasy. And the reason that we are putting it to you in those terms is because we want you to think in terms of allowing the stream or not allowing the stream. We want you to realize that every single thing that you think is wrong with your experience or anyone else's is only because they are holding thoughts that are holding them in resistance. So releasing resistance is the name of the game. We call it the art of allowing, but it is the practice of releasing resistance. And when you release resistance, there is always relief. Now, you'll notice it more if you are really depressed. Because when you're really depressed and you can't breathe at all, there is this big sensation of relief when you can breathe again. But there is a sensation of relief in every resistant thought as you release it. Now, of course, you can't release a thought without reclaiming another. So that's why we're talking about reaching for the thought that feels better. So as you reach for the thought that feels better, you automatically release the thought that does not feel so good. And your feeling of emotional improvement is your key. Good. Now you know everything that is important. There is nothing more important than knowing where you are in relationship to where you want to be. As Jerry and Esther travel a great deal, there was a period of time when they were moving back and forth between Phoenix and San Diego. And halfway between Phoenix and San Diego is Yuma, Arizona. So here they are moving down the freeway on their way to San Diego. San Diego is a delicious and lovely place to be, you know. And they find themselves in Yuma. They do not have an emotional meltdown. We're in Yuma. We want to be in San Diego. We're in Yuma. Instead, they just keep pointed towards San Diego, knowing that they will get to San Diego. And the reason that there is no emotional upheaval is because in this distance of 400 miles, given the automobiles that they own and their knowledge of miles and speed and distance, it is a quantifiable range, the range between where they are and where they want to be.